And we're back at Greenway East, the 4th annual Miller High Life Duckpin Classic. It's our men's division. Kent Palmer has won his first 2 matches. Will now go into the semifinals against Bill Honeycutt. Now, Joe, how will Bill feel? He's just witnessed 2 incredible games. Ken had a 189 and a 192. I'd like to correct that score from last game, was 192. What's going through Ken's mind, through Bill's mind, rather?
Well, what should be going through his mind is I'm going to bowl the pins. I'm not going to bowl Kenny Palmer. You know, and bowl, again, bowl your game. If he bowls against Kenny Palmer instead of the pins, he's going to be in trouble because Kenny's stroking the ball.
Okay, Bill Honeycutt from Baltimore. And he starts off with a strike.
I'd like to point out, Stace, that Bill is what we term a house bowler, meaning that he bowls in a couple leagues out of this house. He's very comfortable in this house. And he is like Vic. He has a few more miles per hour speed on the ball, but he is a finesse bowler.
Kent Palmer had a all-mark game, 10 consecutive marks. And he's going to have trouble coming over the mark on this shot to keep his streak alive.
And pointing out, Stace, he finished his first game with a spare and a strike, so he actually rolled 12 straight marks. He's only had 3. He's bowled 20 boxes and made 17 marks, so there's not much more the man can do.
That's 85%. Now there I guess he's entitled to miss once in a while, isn't he?
Well, he'd rather not. You don't want to start out in the hole, and he's, you know, now he's behind. You know, you could shake his confidence at this point, and this is what Bill, by throwing that strike, Kenny's going to realize I'm behind. I haven't been in this position before, but he's a very explosive bowler, and in that box, he's not going to let it bother him. He's just stroking the ball so well.
He's got 9 after the first, and certainly by not coming up with a spare, he's going to be in the hole to start with. And there's another difficult spare shot that he's going to have to attempt.
I don't know if Kenny realizes it, but he did. He forced that ball. If you note on the monitor, his hand did come through a little further. He forced that ball, and this is why he didn't get the pin action. He didn't get the revolutions on the ball. He threw it a little harder, and it didn't have time to turn over.
Good try on that. He couldn't come up with it. Is it possible that he may be getting tired and trying to compensate and throw a little bit harder?
Well, I think just the opposite. He's so pumped up, the adrenaline's flowing, and he doesn't realize. You don't feel it. You know, he's so strong at this point that it's very easy for him. He has a fluid motion. He has a long arm swing, and the ball, it's hard to turn the corner.
All right, Bill Honeycutt, ranked 2nd in Baltimore last year, 19th nationally. He currently carries a 153 average, his best league average.
Stacy's left the 3-9-10, a very tough spare. I would say maybe 3 out of 10 times. He's going to try to hit the 3-pin, of course, his object, and he's going to need a little help off the wall, off the rubber, the side rubber.
In his career, Bill has had a 252 game, which isn't too far up that world record, and he's had a 558 set.
And a little bit of tough luck. He hit half of the 3-pin, and the ball went through the hole. Had that ball deflected off of the 3 a little more, it could have kissed the 10 off the rubber into the 9. So, again, you just try to keep hitting objects. Now, that was, he could have had a nice lead had he counted and spared, and now it's within 7 pins, so we have a match.
All right, 2 frames. Bill Honeycutt has 26. Kent Palmer has 19. Bill lives in Baltimore now. He's originally from North Carolina. It's the first time that Kent Palmer has not had the lead. He's in his 3rd game. He won the opening match and the quarterfinals match, so finding himself in a position he hasn't been accustomed to yet, behind. And Bill leaves himself a terrible break on that one, Joe.
Yes, he's left the 2-4 on the left and the 3-10 again on the right. So he's going to play this box to get 10 out of it. He's going to throw 2 balls, one at the 2-4, whichever his preference. He may shoot the 2-pin or the 3. Most bowlers do have a side that they feel more comfortable or that they feel they get more pins off of the right wall or the left.
And he picks up the spare. We have seen some incredible spares made. Again, a tremendous display of a shot that seemed almost impossible, and he comes up with it.
Incredible under these tense situations, the pressure, and to be that accurate. He didn't get anything off the wall. He actually slid that shot over, Stace.
Now, Ken looks like he's back in form. He does leave the 7-pin standing. So an important frame for Kent Palmer. This is the semifinal match. The winner of this will go on to meet the #1 bowler, Gene Fearlet, shooting for $2,000 first prize. Ken picks up his spare. $2,000 to the winner, $1,000 to the runner-up.
Yes. John Crunkleton finished 5th. He received $325, and Vic Lancelotto was 4th, just defeated by Ken Palmer, received $400. The loser of this match will receive $600.
And Ken chops, and again, here's an example where he's going to have to try to get 10 pins. Unless he can come up with some wizardry.
I'm not going to put my neck on the limb. I said that the last time, and the man made the shot, so.
Oh, this could be a disastrous frame for Ken. He's got to get some wood. He's got 33 in the third. Bill Honeycutt has 36 plus a spare counting in the third.
This could be the turning box, Stacy. You just made a good point. I mean, with the pins that are setting, he could pick another one, which would give him a 6 box. So
no, he comes up with 8. He does salvage that. Honeycutt now in a chance to open up a little bit of a lead. He's on a spare in the third. And of course, he can add to that if he can mark in the fourth, and then we'll bowl his 5th frame as well.
It's such a fine line between how Kenny was bowling and what he's doing at this point. You know, personally, I think he's just forcing the ball a little bit, and Bill, being an experienced bowler as he is just applying the pressure.
And there was no doubt about that strike. They went down simultaneously. In the 10-game qualifier, Bill qualified 22nd. He averaged 153 per game.
Bill is very comfortable in this house. He knows a lot of people. It's like being in his own backyard. And I do believe that this is an edge.
So you would say that sometimes there is sort of a home lane advantage then?
Well, the crowd, you get the crowd behind you and it can...
He comes up with another strike. So Bill Honeycutt developing a hot hand, whereas Ken Palmer was getting all the marks in the first 2 games. He's had 3 opens in his first 4 frames. Honeycutt, on the other hand, has had 4 marks in 5 frames.
This is the first time today that Kenny has had this type of pressure applied to him. Bill jumped out, and he's now in a commanding lead.
And Kenny comes back with a strike, so he's showing some of that competitive spirit.
Equal to the task, huh? He's very explosive and strikes. Well, we've seen the 2 games, you know, the number of strikes that the man threw, so...
Ken looking for his first tour title. He's won some major events. He won the Fairlanes Men's Open at Westview. He's won the Gully Open, the Ray Webb Memorial Open here at Greenway, and the Jimmy Deach Classic at Fairlanes Prince George's. So he's taken home some money in the past.
Yeah, the winner's circle isn't strange to him. He knows how to win.
Leaves himself a good spare opportunity. We've noticed, Joe, I guess most of the bowlers that have a very high backswing. What would you recommend to youngsters just starting out as far as the kind of backswing they should have?
Well, of course, at a young age, they can't bring the ball back too far. They're going to lose it. But it's whatever's comfortable. You know, there's no one particular way to execute or to play this game. Very good, Kenny.
Kenny gets a spare. So he's keeping it close. And again, even though Bill Honeycutt is working on 2 strikes, anything can happen.
Well, Bill has Kenny in a position where Kenny just can't afford any mistakes at this point. He's put the pressure on him that every ball is very important, and this is a big ball. This is the biggest ball of the match.
Almost gets a triple. Leaves the 10-pin standing.
Bill gets a lot of revolutions on the ball. If you watch at his release, he gets a lot of snap on the ball. He gets a lot of what we call right-hand turn, which would be a curve ball going from right to left, and it really moves the pins. He's very effective.
Shooting for a 10-pin, and he picks it up.
He now has a 34-pin lead, Stace. Again, we've seen it turn around. The doubleheader, the strike is a powerful weapon, and Kenny definitely carries that weapon with him.
And there you see that Honeycutt has a very comfortable 34-pin lead, each of them working on a spare in this 6th frame. How about the balls themselves, Joe? Do most of the pros use the maximum weight permitted?
It really varies. It really varies. There's only 2 sizes of... The maximum weight of a ball is 3 pounds 12 ounces. Now, I think Bill does throw around a 312, and I'm sure Kenny does also. I would say 75 to 80% of the pro bowlers do use the 312. I've always felt that the pins know more of the weight of the ball than the bowler. You're only talking a couple ounces, but it's effective.
And Bill chops that pin. There was a good chance for Bill to really open up a big lead if he could have converted that into a spare. Now he gives a little more breathing room to Ken Palmer. And he gives up some important wood on that shot. Could have picked up a couple more pins to add to his lead. Let's see how Ken takes advantage of this.
The psychological effect of a ball like that on the opponent, you just don't know what it weighs. I tell you, Stace, it can pump the other guy up, and Kenny's very capable of getting pumped up. This is a big ball. It's a big ball. It can switch the momentum. Oh. Well, Kenny's left a 5-10, and Kenny has left a 5-10, and he knows he is right now in a position where he has to shoot this. So he's going to shoot the left side of the 5, hoping to slide it in. He hit it all, so we didn't get the spare.
Had an interesting note just handed me, just something worth noting, that Ken, in the first 2 games, he just picked up this pair, had a 381 total. Earl Anthony bowled 2 games in the PBA yesterday, and he had a 378. So who says that there isn't high scores in duck pins?
Duck pin magic. No one will say it now, will they, Stace?
Okay, Ken has 89 in the 7th, down by 29 pins to Bill Honeycutt's 118. And he gave his all on that, trying to come up with the strike, but he leaves the 7-pin.
Well, he knows he needs strikes now, Stace. 30 pins in 3 boxes break it down, is 10 pins a box, and it's tough to pick up 10 pins a box with spares.
He picks up that spare, so he's still making the marks that he has to. Honeycutt will step up for his 8th frame. Honeycutt's been bowling quite a long time. He's been involved in duck pin bowling for 21 years. He's originally from North Carolina, but now he makes his home in Baltimore. And he leaves an identical 7-pin standing.
Bill's very relaxed. He knows he has a nice lead, and he's just, as we would say, keeping the ball in play. He wants to keep the ball on the object pin, just not make any bad pitches and not have any more 7 boxes like he had.
Bill was ranked 2nd in Baltimore last year. He had a 146 average. And he picks up his pair. So he maintains the kind of lead that he has to win it. The number 1 bowler, been waiting in the wings, practicing a little bit, Gene Fairlett from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. This is the 4th annual Miller High Life Duck Pin Classic. First place, $2,000. Second place, $1,000. And we've seen high scores and just awesome bowling displays today, men and women.
Bill averages 152 in the league at Greenway Bowl East, this particular house. So again, I'd like to mention he's very confident here.
Comes up with a good spare opportunity on that shot. Almost left his split. Got enough action to leave just 1 pin up. The most that Ken Palmer could bowl if he got strikes the rest of the way would be a 169. Bill Honeycutt, after 8, has 137, and a very good opportunity to get a spare here. And he picks up that spare. But Bill Honeycutt has had 7 marks out of his 9 frames. We've seen an extraordinarily high percentage of marks per frames rolled.
If Ken Palmer doesn't throw a strike, I believe the match is over.
Well, he's come close several times. Again, he leaves a pin up, and almost spoke too soon, but he does have 9 down. Again, another good opportunity for a spare. Ken is down 29 pins after 8 frames. The most that Ken could bowl would be a 158. And he picks up that spare.
I was wrong, Stacy. He's not out of it, but definitely this ball must be a strike. If he triples in the 10th, as you said, he'll have 158. Bill Honeycutt has 147 plus. Well, we have a winner, Stacy. We do have a winner.
Okay, Bill Honeycutt will advance to the finals, where he'll meet Gene Fairlett. A little hard for Ken to maintain that tremendous pace that he had. He averaged 190 the first 2 games. And he'll fall short of that this game.
You just saw an example of how that spare could be made, though. It can be slid over or it can be bounced out of the pit, which he just bounced it out. It just was a little misdirection.
Now, Ken finishes with a very fine 136. So Bill Honeycutt will advance. Just a matter of him bowling this last frame. And should be, again, an exciting match between Bill Honeycutt and Gene Fairlett. Again, almost another strike. We have seen as much action on the pins as you would want to see.
They've been flying all weekend, Stacy. This is just incredible.
The cut yesterday, the top 30, the 30th bowler averaged 152. Gives you an idea of the kind of scores we had.
Actually, 1 pin short of 53, and that's incredible. That's a lot of bowling for 10 games. A lot of spares.
Bill Honeycutt will finish with a game in the 170s. So again, we'll see how old Mo comes into play, whether momentum will carry over for him, or whether Gene Fairlett, who's had a chance to rest, will have the advantage. And he finishes with a fine 175. Bill Honeycutt has defeated Ken Palmer 175 to 136 in our semifinals. Professional duck pin championship action continues in a moment.
The good times